If you are over the age of 55 and you're considering a move to the Greenville, South Carolina area, then a particular community that you might have expressed interest in up to this point are age-restricted communities, or better known as 55 plus communities. So in this video, we are going to discuss the downsides of these communities and things that you may not have considered if you are searching for this type of community up until this point. And as someone that is going to sell over 100 homes in 2024, I'll give you my practical advice at the end of the video if you are a buyer over the age of 55. Let's do it. As always, my friends, my name is Will Sawyer, your friend in real estate here in the Upstate of South Carolina, and it's our goal with this channel that we are your #1 resource for all the things that you need to know about your relocation to the Upstate of South Carolina. We aim to provide you the most practical, the most relevant, and the most reliable information that you can consider when considering moving to Greenville. If you like this information, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and email me a little bit about your situation and about your plans to move to our area. So the first downside that I can think of when I'm thinking of age-restricted communities is their limited availability here in the Upstate of South Carolina. A lot of my clients are over the age of 55. They have expressed interest in these types of communities, and they ask me, hey, do y'all have any age-restricted communities in this area? Because I'm having trouble finding them. Well, truth be told, we don't have a lot of these communities like you would find, say, in Florida, where you have these massive Del Webb communities, and now they're coming to Charleston, South Carolina as well, where you have 800, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 homes, a big master plan community with churches and schools, clubhouses, pools, all of these amenities all in one place. And what a lot of my clients have mentioned that they call these communities are golf cart communities. Well, we don't have a ton of them, and if we do, they aren't going to be these massive communities. So communities that do come to mind that are here in the Upstate of South Carolina are communities like Paxton Meadows or Blaze Ridge or the Ravines, and so on and so forth. In contrast to that, we do have communities that are geared toward an older demographic, but don't necessarily put a restriction on age. So a lot of these communities are going to have restrictions on at least one person in the house has to be over the age of 55. Well, there are a few builders in the Upstate that build homes and build communities that are geared toward this demographic. So communities like that come to mind would be the cottages at Harrison Bridge, would be the cottages at Sholey Ridge, and would be any of the Rosewood Homes communities that are built here in the Upstate. So if you are a 55 and over buyer looking to relocate to Greenville, you will have to look a little bit harder to find these communities. However, you're in luck. There is a Del Webb community that is supposed to open up sales in 2025 in Malden. We do not have a lot of information at this time. However, they are building out the community, putting in utilities right now. So sales opening in the spring or summer of 2025 is expected, but I can't say that for sure. So before we talk about the restrictive HOAs that often encompass these communities, let's first talk about limited resale potential. So as a person who is over the age of 55 looking to live in a 55 and older community, you are just that, eligible to buy a house in this community. However, no one under the age of 55 is going to be eligible to buy a house in this community. So you are limiting your buyer pool when you need to sell this house. Now, probably your mindset, as has been the mindset of my clients in the past, is that the only way you're leaving this house is feet first. However, things can change. We don't know what the future holds. So if you had to move out of this community and sell this property, you're positioning yourself to have possibly a harder time to get your home sold. So to make this video, I looked at some data over the last 12 months, and what I found was pretty interesting. For homes in 55 plus communities, it took about twice as long to sell those properties as it did to sell homes that were not in 55 plus communities here in Greenville. So on average, it took about 98 days to sell a property in an age-restricted community here in our area. Comparing that to a property not in an age-restricted community, it took about 47 days to sell that home. So the next downside to consider when buying a home in one of these age-restricted communities is that most of these communities, if not all of these communities here in the Upstate, are going to be governed by a restrictive HOA. So what do I mean by that? So first up on the list, these HOAs are going to cover more than they do in a traditional community. So on average, I would say a traditional HOA is going to cost a homeowner $350 to $500 per year. Now, in these age-restricted communities, since they are covering lawn maintenance, oftentimes they're covering landscape maintenance. Sometimes if it's a townhome community, they'll be covering things like exterior maintenance to your property. These HOAs are going to, at minimum, cost $150 a month. Oftentimes, these HOAs are going to run homeowners $200, $300, and in some cases, $400 per month just to live in those communities. So it's quite different when you're going to have to pay probably around a $500 HOA fee in one of these traditional communities around Greenville versus, say, a $3,000 or $3,500 HOA fee per year in one of these age-restricted communities around Greenville. And the last point I'll make on these restrictive HOAs and these age-restricted communities is that most of these communities are going to be gated. And since they are gated, that means that these roads in these communities are oftentimes private. So if we have an ice storm or if we have a snowstorm, in order to clear those roads, you're gonna have to pay, or the HOA is gonna have to pay a private company to come in and scrape or sand these roads. Not to mention when these roads need to be resealed or repaved altogether, the HOA is probably gonna issue an assessment on the homeowners. So it's best when you are thinking about buying a home in one of these communities that you connect directly with the HOA president, and we can get that information for you and ask the HOA president, hey, are there any outstanding assessments in this community? Do you anticipate any assessments coming up in the next 5 years? Because it would be a very hard pill to swallow if you move into the house in the following year, you have this big assessment that you're slapped with out of nowhere for a random maintenance item. So after considering all of that information, here's my advice. Don't restrict yourself if you're over the age of 55 and you're thinking about moving to Greenville to one of these age-restricted communities. We have a number of similar style communities that you can enjoy maintenance-free lifestyle. You can enjoy living around people of a similar demographic to you. And there are a number of communities spread throughout the Upstate that will give you the conveniences to the amenities that you're going to need on a daily and weekly basis. If you want to be closer into downtown Greenville, there's communities that you can live in that will provide you that type of maintenance-free lifestyle. If you want to live out in the suburbs, there are a number of communities that you can live in that are going to provide you with a maintenance-free lifestyle and still be around people with similar interests and that are of similar age to you. So I don't say that to poo-poo on these 55 plus communities because they serve their purpose, because they are great. However, when we sit down and when we start looking for a house for you, don't only restrict yourself to those communities because you're gonna miss out on a lot of great opportunities if that's what you do. So I hope all of that information was helpful. And if you are over the age of 55 and you are thinking about relocating to the Greenville, South Carolina area, I would love to be the realtor that you choose to work with. So please do me a favor, text me at my cell phone number below or shoot me an email at my email below. I would love to hear about you and your situation and your plans to move to the Greenville area in the near future. As always, my name is Will Sawyer, your friend in real estate. Until next time, be safe. Well, this video is going to be about Greenville County, the upstate of South Carolina. Great thing to do and easily in the evening. I'm a local real estate expert here in the area. All the time, we're right behind me is a really cool place called Freight Yard.